What if you had to choose between the love of your life and your own child? What if you could never have both in the same time, in the same world? This is the heartbreaking reality that tore apart one family and the beautiful miracle that brought them back together. These are the moments that prove love really can survive anything, even time itself. Asterisk, every great family starts with a choice. For Jamie and Claire Fraser, that choice was to love each other against all odds. She was a woman out of time, torn from the 1940s and thrown into 18th century Scotland. He was a Highland warrior with a price on his head. They had every reason to stay apart, but they chose each other anyway. And from that impossible love, something even more precious was born. When Claire discovered she was pregnant, everything changed. The joy in Jamie's eyes, the way he placed his hand on her belly and spoke to their unborn child in Gaelic. These were the moments that showed us what kind of father he would become. He promised to protect them both, to give them a life filled with love and safety. And for a brief, beautiful time, they had it. They had their little family, Dot. Then came Brianna. Red-haired like her father, strong-willed like her mother. Jamie held his daughter for the first time with tears streaming down his face. He counted. Her tiny fingers kissed her soft head and made promises he desperately wanted to keep. He taught her to smile, sang her Scottish lullabies, and loved her with every piece of his warrior's heart. These early days were filled with simple magic. Claire nursing their baby while Jamie watched with wonder. Family walks around their home. Quiet evenings by the fire where they dreamed about Brianna's future. But history had other plans. The Battle of Culloden was coming, a battle that would destroy the Highland way of life. Claire knew what was ahead. She knew Jamie would likely die on that battlefield. And she had to make an impossible choice: stay in the past with the man she loved and watch him die, leaving their daughter an orphan in a dangerous time. Or go back to her own time, back to safety, but lose Jamie forever. The day they said goodbye is burned into the heart of every person who witnessed it. Jamie held his daughter one last time, memorizing every detail of her face. He made Claire promise to tell Brianna about him, to let her know she was loved by a father she would never remember. Claire stood at the stones, holding their baby, watching the only man she ever truly loved walk away to what seemed like certain death. She had to choose her child's life over her own happiness. Asterisk, 20 years. That's how long a heart can ache for someone you've never known. Brianna grew up with stories of a father who lived centuries ago. A man she could only know through her mother's memories and faded photographs. She traced the lines of his face in old drawings, wondering if he really loved her. Or if he was just a beautiful story her mother told to fill the empty space where a father should have been. Then one day, everything her mother said turned out to be true. Jamie Fraser was alive. And suddenly, Brianna had to decide if she was brave enough to meet the ghost who'd haunted her whole life. Picture this moment. A grown woman standing in front of a print shop in the past. Her hands shaking, her heart pounding so hard she can barely breathe. Behind that door is the father she never knew. What do you say to someone who missed your entire childhood? Your first steps, your first words, your first heartbreak. What do you say to a man who loved you desperately but had to let you go? Brianna pushed open that door, not knowing if she'd find acceptance or disappointment. Not knowing if the reality could ever match the dream. And then their eyes met. Jamie looked at this tall, beautiful, red-haired young woman and saw his daughter. Not the baby he'd held for those precious few months, but the woman she'd become. Time stopped. All the years of separation, all the pain, all the wondering just melted away. When he whispered her name, it wasn't a question. It was a prayer answered. They fell into each other's arms and held on like they were drowning, because in a way, they were. They were drowning in all the lost birthday parties, all the scraped knees he didn't bandage, all the bedtime stories he didn't read, all the moments they could never get back. But here's what makes this family special. They didn't let those lost years define them. Jamie became the father he'd always dreamed of being, just 20 years late. He listened to stories about Brianna's childhood with hunger in his eyes, asking question after question, trying to know everything he'd missed. He learned about her life in the future, about cars and airplanes, and all the strange wonders of her world. And Brianna saw that her mother had been right all along. This man, this warrior from another time, really did love her. He'd always loved her. Claire watched them build their bond and finally felt complete. Her two greatest loves, the man who owned her heart and the daughter who came from it, were finally in the same room in the same time. She'd spent 20 years torn between two worlds, but now those worlds had merged. The family that was ripped apart by time had found its way back together. Asterisk, here's something they don't tell you about family. It doesn't just grow, it explodes. It multiplies in ways you never expected, creating connections you didn't know your heart had room for. Brianna found more than just a father when she crossed through those stones. She found a man named Roger, a historian who followed her through time because he couldn't imagine a world without her in it. And just like her parents before her, she chose love over logic, danger over safety, the past over the future. The Fraser curse, or maybe the Fraser blessing, is falling in love so deeply that nothing else matters. When Brianna told Jamie and Claire she was pregnant, something shifted in the universe. Jamie Fraser, the warrior who'd survived battles and torture and unimaginable loss, was going to be a grandfather. The man who'd missed his own daughter's childhood would get a second chance with her child. You could see it in his face, this mix of joy and terror and desperate hope. He'd failed to protect Brianna from growing up without him, but this time would be different. This time, he'd be there for every moment, the day Jeremiah was born. Jamie held his grandson with the same trembling hands that had held Brianna decades before. But this time, there was no goodbye waiting in the shadows. This time, he could make all the promises he wanted because he'd be there to keep them. He whispered to Jamie in Gaelic, the same words he'd once said to Brianna, promises of protection and love that would last forever. And when that little boy wrapped his tiny fingers around Jamie's rough, scarred hand, 3 generations connected in a single touch. Claire became the grandmother she'd never imagined she'd be. The healer, the time traveler, the woman who'd seen impossible things, now spent her evenings rocking a baby and singing lullabies. She watched Brianna with Jamie and saw herself all those years ago, young and scared and desperately in love with this tiny person who depended on her for everything. But this time, Brianna wasn't alone. She had her mother's wisdom, her father's protection, and Roger's unwavering devotion. She had what Claire never did, a whole family surrounding her. Fraser's Ridge became more than just a home. It became a kingdom of love, ruled by a grandfather who'd do anything to keep his family safe, and a grandmother who'd already proven she'd crossed through time itself for the people she loved. Jamie grew up with stories of his grandmother's adventures, his grandfather's battles, and the impossible love that created this family. He learned to ride horses with Jamie, learned about healing herbs with Claire, learned songs and stories from Roger, and felt his mother's fierce love every single day. This wasn't just a family anymore. This was a dynasty. The Fraser blood ran through generations, carrying with it that same stubborn courage, that same wild heart, that same ability to love someone so completely that the whole world could be against you and it still wouldn't matter. Asterisk, you want to know what real family looks like? It's not the perfect moments. It's not the happy dinners or the peaceful Sunday mornings. Real family is what happens when everything falls apart and the only thing holding you together is each other. The Frasers didn't just face the normal struggles of life. They faced wars, kidnappers, deadly diseases, and enemies who wanted to destroy everything they'd built. And every single time darkness came knocking, they didn't run. They circled around each other like wolves protecting their pack. When danger found Brianna, Jamie became something terrifying and beautiful all at once. This wasn't just a father's anger. This was centuries of Highland warrior fury combined with a love so powerful it could burn down the world. He didn't just want to protect his daughter. He wanted to erase every bit of pain she'd ever felt, take every burden from her shoulders, and carry it himself. Claire stood beside him, not to hold him back, but to make sure he survived his own rage, because that's what partners do. They don't stop each other from fighting. They make sure neither of them fights alone. Roger proved something important too. Family isn't just about blood, it's about choice. He chose Brianna when loving her meant giving up everything he knew. He chose Jamie even when he wasn't sure the boy was his. He chose this wild, dangerous, impossible family and never looked back. When the Frasers needed him, he didn't ask questions. He didn't calculate the risk. He just showed up, again and again, because that's what you do when these people are your people. But here's the beautiful part. Between all the chaos and danger, there were these small, quiet moments that mattered just as much. Jamie teaching Jamie how to whittle wood, his big scarred hands guiding small, clumsy ones. Claire and Brianna working side by side in the garden, talking about everything and nothing. Just being mother and daughter in this simple way they'd missed for so many years. Roger playing his guitar while the family gathered around the fire, creating memories that would last longer than any of them. These are the moments that prove something powerful. Love isn't just about the grand gestures or the dramatic rescues. It's about showing up every single day. It's about Jamie braiding Brianna's hair, even though his warrior hands weren't made for gentleness. It's about Claire teaching Jamie about plants and watching him look at her like she hung the moon. It's about Brianna and Roger stealing quiet moments together while their son sleeps, rebuilding themselves so they can be strong for their family. It's about Sunday dinners where everyone talks over each other and laughs too, loud and belongs completely. The Fraser family proves that love is the most powerful force in any timeline. It survives separation, transcends centuries, heals impossible wounds, and grows stronger with every generation. They lost years they can never get back, but they refuse to lose a single moment more. That's what makes them extraordinary. Not that they're perfect, but that they're unbreakable. Asterisk. So what is it about the Frasers that breaks our hearts and puts them back together again? Maybe it's because they remind us what family really means. It's not about living in the same time or the same place. It's not about having a perfect story or an easy road. Family is about loving someone so much that you'd cross oceans for them. You'd cross centuries for them. You'd give up everything you know to see them one more time. The Frasers show us that family is a choice we make every single day. It's choosing to forgive the lost years and celebrate the found moments. It's choosing to stand together when the world tries to tear you apart. It's choosing to believe that love is stronger than time, stronger than distance, stronger than anything that tries to break it. Jamie and Claire started with an impossible love, and they built an unshakable legacy. Brianna and Roger continued that legacy, proving that some bonds are too strong for any force to destroy. And little Jamie, he's growing up surrounded by people who cross through time itself just to be together. He'll grow up knowing that his family didn't just happen by accident. They fought for each other. They sacrificed for each other. They chose each other over and over again, no matter what it cost them. That's the greatest gift any child could receive. Not a perfect family, but a real one. A family that shows up, holds on, and never lets go. These moments, these beautiful, heartbreaking, perfect Fraser family moments, remind us why we believe in love, why we believe in second chances, why we believe that some connections are written in the stars and carved into our souls, destined to find each other no matter how many lifetimes stand between them. This is Outlander. This is family. This is love that conquers time itself. Watch every heartwarming moment, every tearful reunion, and every powerful family bond on STARZ. Because some stories aren't just meant to be watched. They're meant to be felt deep in your heart, where all the best family moments live forever.